Her name was Dorothy. In 1958, she ate 3 times a day: breakfast at 7, lunch at noon, dinner at 6. Between those 3 times, she ate nothing. Not because she was dieting, not because she was watching her weight, not because any doctor had told her to. Because between meals, in Dorothy's house, there was simply nothing to eat. Her granddaughter asked her once what she did when she got hungry between meals. Dorothy looked puzzled. She said, "I waited for the next meal." Her granddaughter found this answer nearly impossible to understand. She had never in her adult life gone 3 hours without access to food. Doritos launched nationally in 1966. Pringles launched in 1968. Before them, the category they now dominate did not exist. There was no word for the product. There was no shelf for it. There was no 3 o'clock hunger that required a branded solution. Dorothy never bought a single bag. She never needed to. What Dorothy had were 10 habits so ordinary she never thought to name them. Nobody on her street named them either, because everyone on that street ate the same way. 3 meals, nothing between, every day. She had no calorie tracking app, no intermittent fasting protocol with a 12-hour window, no macro-optimized meal plan from a registered dietitian, no food sensitivity test, no gut microbiome kit, no probiotic gummy beside the coffee maker. What she had were 10 habits. The habits were the part nobody sold her, because the habits were the part that actually worked. Then something changed, not the human stomach, not what a body actually needs between 7 in the morning and 6 at night. What changed is exactly what this video is about. Before number 10, subscribe. This is exactly what this channel is here to make. Number 10. Dorothy's meals were built to last. Wednesday, April 9, 1958. Lunch at noon. A bowl of vegetable soup made from the previous night's leftover chicken, half a loaf of bread, a glass of whole milk. She was not hungry again until 6. Not because she had exceptional willpower, because the food she ate at noon was designed, without anyone designing it, to be filling. Whole food, unprocessed meat, vegetables, bread made from whole grain, full-fat dairy, breaks down slowly. It releases glucose steadily. It keeps insulin stable. It signals satiety for hours. A 2021 study published in Nature Metabolism by Wyatt and colleagues found that postprandial glucose dips, the crashes that follow rapidly absorbed processed food, are the primary driver of between-meal hunger, not time elapsed since eating. Dorothy's food did not crash her blood sugar. She had no crash. She had no hunger. The global snack food market reached over $700 billion in 2024. The market was valued at $719 billion in 2024 and is projected to reach $922 billion by 2030. Wikipedia. Dorothy never had the product. Dorothy never had the problem either. Number 9. Dorothy's kitchen closed after every meal. The dishes were cleared, the leftovers were put away, the counter was wiped, the kitchen was done. It did not remain open as a place to return to at 2 in the afternoon because nothing about 2 in the afternoon invited a return. There were no open bags, no visible food, no bowl of something within reach on the counter. Research on what behavioral scientists call environmental cue control has found that the mere visibility of food is a stronger predictor of eating than hunger. When food is visible and accessible, people eat it, regardless of whether their body requires it at that moment. Dorothy's counter had a cloth and a salt shaker on it, nothing else. Dorothy never had the product. Dorothy never had the problem either. Number 1 on this list is the habit the snack industry has spent the most money trying to replace. Number 1 is still coming. Number 8. Dorothy ate at the table, every single time. Not at the counter, not standing at the refrigerator, not in front of the television, not in the car. The food went on the table, the family sat down, the meal was eaten. When the meal was over, eating was over, because eating was a seated activity. Sitting was not happening between meals. Therefore, eating was not happening between meals. Research published in the American Journal of Clinical Nutrition found that eating while distracted, while watching television, working, or standing consistently results in consuming more food at the current meal and more food in the hours that follow, because the brain does not fully register the meal as complete. Dorothy's brain registered every meal as complete. She was sitting at the table when it ended. She got up when it ended. It was over. Dorothy never had the product. Dorothy never had the problem either. Number 7. Dorothy ate fat at every meal. Butter on her bread, lard in her pastry crust, whole milk, meat with its fat not trimmed, eggs fried in the rendered fat left in the pan. Nobody told her this was healthy. It was simply what food was. Dietary fat is the macronutrient most responsible for sustained satiety. It slows gastric emptying, suppresses ghrelin, the hunger hormone, and maintains stable blood glucose between meals. The low-fat dietary guidelines arrived with the McGovern Report in 1977. Within a decade, fat-free and low-fat products lined American shelves. Within 2 decades, snack culture had filled the gap that removed fat had left, the constant, gnawing, between-meal hunger that full-fat food had previously prevented. Dorothy ate the butter. She was not hungry at 2 in the afternoon. Dorothy never had the product. Dorothy never had the problem either. Number 6. Dorothy had no food within reach between meals. This sounds obvious. In 1958, it was structural. The pantry had ingredients. It did not have ready-to-eat items waiting to be opened. Eating between meals required cooking. Cooking between meals was not something a household running on a schedule had time for. The modern kitchen is different. A 2019 survey by the International Food Information Council found that 62% of American adults reported snacking at least twice a day, with most citing convenience as the primary driver, not hunger. Convenience is what the snack industry sold Dorothy's grandchildren. Dorothy's kitchen had no convenient food. She was not inconvenienced by that absence. She never noticed it. Dorothy never had the product. Dorothy never had the problem either. Number 1 has no serving size. It has no ingredients list. It cannot be found on any shelf. Almost there. Number 5. Dorothy drank water when she thought she was hungry. This was not a wellness strategy. Water was what you drank. If something felt off in the mid-afternoon, a glass of water from the tap addressed it. Research from Virginia Tech's Department of Human Nutrition found that drinking water before and between meals reduces caloric intake at subsequent meals and measurably reduces between-meal hunger in adults. The hunger-suppressing functional beverage market, sparkling waters with fiber, protein waters, hunger-control drinks, is now a multi-billion-dollar category. It sells water, with additional steps and a higher price, to address a problem Dorothy solved by filling a glass from the tap. Dorothy never had the product. Dorothy never had the problem either. Number 4. Dorothy's body knew when the next meal was coming. 7. Noon. 6. Every day, for decades. When the body receives food at consistent, predictable intervals, it adapts. Hunger hormones, ghrelin in particular, begin to rise in anticipation of the approaching meal and subside after it. The body stops generating between-meal hunger signals because experience has taught it that hunger between meals will not be answered. Circadian nutrition researchers at the Salk Institute have found that consistent meal timing trains the body's hunger signaling to align with the eating schedule, dramatically reducing between-meal hunger in people who eat at the same times daily. Dorothy's body had been trained by decades of the same 3 times. It did not ask for food at 2 in the afternoon. It knew better. Dorothy never had the product. Dorothy never had the problem either. Number 3. Dorothy was busy between meals. From noon to 6, she was not sitting near a kitchen thinking about food. She was hanging laundry, walking to the market, mending, sweeping, managing the household she ran alone. Hunger is measurably louder in boredom and measurably quieter in purposeful activity. Research published in Appetite Journal found that engaging in a manual task of moderate difficulty reduces food cravings significantly, even in people who had not recently eaten. Dorothy's afternoon was not available for cravings. Her hands were full. Dorothy never had the product. Dorothy never had the problem either. Number 2. Dorothy did not eat because food was visible. She ate because it was mealtime. The snack food industry understood something important. If food is within sight, people eat it, not because they are hungry, because it is there. A study published in the journal Obesity found that the presence of food on a kitchen counter, chips on the counter, cereal visible on the shelf, was significantly associated with higher body weight, independent of dietary habits otherwise. Dorothy's counter had a cloth and a salt shaker on it. The pantry was in a separate room, behind a door. Food was not visible between meals. It was not consumed between meals. Dorothy never had the product. Dorothy never had the problem either. Number 1. Dorothy did not think about food between meals. This is the one the snack industry cannot replace, because it is not a product. It is the absence of a mental category. In 1958, the phrase, "I need a snack," did not exist as a culturally understood statement. There was no product behind the phrase. There was no shelf it pointed to. The category had not been invented. The snack industry did not emerge because human bodies changed their requirements between 1958 and 1966. Human bodies did not change. What changed was that Frito-Lay launched Doritos nationally in 1966, the first tortilla chip available nationwide in the United States. Pringles followed in 1968. The industry created the category, and then it spent decades teaching Americans to feel hungry inside it. Johns Hopkins Medicine, summarizing research from neuroscientist Mark Mattson, has confirmed that the human body is fully capable of going hours between meals without nutritional distress, that between meal hunger is largely a conditioned response, not a biological requirement. Dorothy had no conditioning. She had 3 meals, and a kitchen that closed between them. Dorothy never had the product. Dorothy never had the problem either. Dorothy passed away in 2002. She was 83 years old. Her granddaughter, clearing out the kitchen, found something that stopped her. The pantry was full of ingredients: flour, sugar, canned vegetables, dried beans, a tin of lard, a bottle of vinegar. There was not a single ready-to-eat item in it. No chips, no crackers, no granola bars, no protein bites in a resealable bag, no individually wrapped anything. Her granddaughter stood in front of that pantry for a long moment. She had never in her adult life had a pantry that looked like that. Nobody at Dorothy's funeral mentioned her eating habits. Nobody had ever thought of them as habits. They were just how she ate, 3 times a day, at the table, until the meal was over. 10 habits Dorothy never named, never tracked, and never once thought to call a nutrition protocol. She called it breakfast, lunch, and dinner. What changed between Dorothy's kitchen and yours was not what the human stomach requires between 7 in the morning and 6 at night. Those requirements have not changed since 1958. What changed was who got paid when those requirements were replaced by a $700 billion industry built on the premise that 3 meals a day was never going to be enough. Pick one thing from this list. Come back in the comments in a week and tell me what it did. If you have ever eaten something not because you were hungry but because it was there, tell me below. I read every single comment. The next video is already waiting.